This week, I'm going to invite you to join me in participating in an exercise. Remember, this is an exercise. We start with exercises when we have not developed the necessary muscles or coordination for the task at hand. Trust me, if you take the time to do this, you give yourself to this, it will change you and prepare you for the thing we all desire, which is intimacy with God. Now, please note, as with all exercises, if you only partially engage, you will not receive the full benefit, okay? There are 5 simple steps, 4 that are your and my responsibility, and 1 that is God's. So each morning this week, pray this simple prayer. God, or Father, please speak to me today. Father, speak to me today. That's it. I mean, pretty much every morning, maybe at breakfast, maybe as you're getting dressed, maybe as you're drinking your coffee or your orange juice or eating your cereal, or maybe even before you get out of bed, you pray that prayer. Father, God, speak to me today. The second step is God's responsibility. Now it's up to God to interrupt your day and speak to you. No, God's invitation will always be something that you can accomplish. Your part, my part, our part is always something that we are capable of doing. God's part is the stuff that you and I can't do. He's not going to tell you to change someone's mind or make someone else behave in a certain way or believe something. It'll be concrete and it'll be specific and it'll be doable. If you're a student, for example, God might invite you to engage in a random act of kindness to a fellow student who is struggling. Often in families, God starts challenging us in ways that are connected to how we treat each other. So pay attention to those moments. Perhaps while you're at school or work, God tells you to ask that person over there, is everything okay? Or maybe encourages you to ask a friend or a neighbor who's going through a rough patch, can I pray for you? I believe in a God who loves you. Would it be all right if I were to pray for you? Perhaps God might invite you to call someone or write a letter, or send a card, or to give or serve or to comfort or to pay for the coffee of the person behind you in the drive-thru. God's invitations might seem like they're coming out of the blue, but it will be simple, it'll be concrete, specific, and immediately doable. Now, you have a choice. Do you obey? If it is God speaking, the invitation will reflect His character, and your obedience should also reflect His character, His nature, His word. You should act in purity, with grace, with love, with selflessness. The invitation and your obedience should honor and glorify God. It will be an expression of love, of care. It will bring joy and peace and hope. It will serve others in love. It will not be about you seeking promotion, advantage, or some sort of personal benefit. In fact, based on Christ's example, if you are in fact hearing the Father's voice, it will likely require something of you as opposed to being a benefit for you. The fourth step, at the end of the day, take your journal and write down each instance in which you felt you heard God speak to you that day. You'll also want to note honestly whether or not you obeyed. Write down your response to God's invitation. And third, if you were privileged to witness an outcome, make a note in a sentence or two indicating any outcomes as well. You may wish to set an alarm for a set time each evening as a reminder to pause and do this reflection, perhaps before you go to bed each night. Please note, you may pray in the morning and totally forget about it until the alarm goes off in the evening at the end of the day. That's okay. If you forgot to pray the prayer in the morning, or if you missed journaling in the evening, do not beat yourself up about these things. This is the wonder and the grace of God's great love. And also the grace of the setting and the rising sun. There is always tomorrow. If you forget today, there's always tomorrow. The fifth step will be this: you will share at least one of your God spoke to me moments with your care group the next time your group gathers. Sharing with your group is a key part of the journey. Your group, not the leader, not just one person in the group who talks a lot or the loudest voice or the one who seems most spiritual, but your group as a whole is your spiritual accountability, and you are a part of their spiritual accountability. You are helping each other discern between God's voice, their own ideas, your own ideas, and some other voices we talked about on Sunday. When you share and when you listen to others sharing in your care group, do so with humility. It may be that they or you did not hear God, and in those moments, God will use your group to help you discern that. So after a group member shares, it might be appropriate to ask a few questions like this. What made you think that it was God speaking to you? And don't be afraid of the questions. Okay, we've got to stop this fear of accountability. One of the other questions you might ask is, was there anything that made you think it might not be God's voice that was speaking to you? Another question might be, did you find it easy to obey what God was telling you to do? Or was it difficult? Was it a challenge? Did it stretch you? If you didn't follow through on what you felt God was inviting you to do, why not? What held you back? Again, if we truly want to hear God speak, we have to stop being afraid of accountability. So are you willing to try this exercise? Are you willing to take this journey? I invite you to.